Being prepared. I've been married for 12 years and the first 11 years were fantastic. Well, I believe they were. She had a traumatic event. Her best friend passed, which she blames herself. This has led to a midlife crisis. She came across a 23-year-old boy and stared to text, call and Facebook message him. Mainly my wife was pursuing the relationship more so than the boy. When I found out, I became unglued and did become insecure. I made a big deal and got the family involved. My wife calls him her best friend and refers to call him her bestie. But it's more than just a best friend. When he is depressed, she becomes depressed. She cries for him. She has so much feeling for him. I use the word obsessed. My wife uses the word attached. I have 4 children and even my eldest daughter of 15 says she acting as if she is 18. She has had 4 surgeries and is looking hot. I've overreacted lots of times since January. I see her living a dual lifestyle. One with me and the 4 kids and the other with this boy. Our house has been affected. I have been affected. I came to the conclusion I'm going to put an end to this madness and told my wife no more contacting this boy, and I went over to the boy's house and lost it with him and threw some punches at him, which I'm not happy with myself, and told him no more contact. He said that my wife was the one who was pushing the relationship more than I, and I believe him. Did I do the right thing? Or should I let my wife have her bestie? Her last text. Attached to him, yes. Love him as my bestie, yes. Love chatting with him, yes. In love with him, no. Because I'm in love with you but you can't accept that. Yet we are fighting and I'm in marriage hell because of this boy. I like to believe that I'm wrong. Please someone say to me I'm wrong. But without knowing everything I know you guys can't do that 100%. This is my wife's view. I'm insecure, unsociable, boring, doesn't want to experience life, prefer to sad than happy, negative than positive, unsociable than social. There is some truth in what is said, but does it give the right to what my wife has done? The correct path would have been marriage counseling or telling it to my face instead of 12 years later. My wife believes I've made an ass out of myself. I've labeled my wife a W and the boy a family wrecker. Not only that, the boy is a nephew on my wife's side and this is going to lead to family conflict. They talk about mutual interest, movies, songs. At the beginning of their friendship, they talk throughout the day. When I found out and became unglued, they backed off but continued. My wife stopped telling me, thinking I'm just going to become unglued and blow it out of proportion. They only seen each other 3 times or so since January. The boy lives and works with his family. Lazy, doesn't do much. No girlfriend, just a pure piece of meat. Internal family knows but see my wife as a W and me as some bad crazy man, who has no control over his wife. I told my wife to look up emotional affair. We argued, I left the house, at Starbucks. She said that she read about emotional affairs and that they are nothing there. Nothing whatsoever. Divorce will ruin her parents. Not an option, 95% sure. Her head is already having chest complaints and was taken to the doctor yesterday. I've taken my first steps to overcome my own issues. I have realized I choose to be grumpy, sad, and boring. I control my own happiness. I think I got worse when I gained weight. I was less happy with myself. I was 223 pounds at my heaviest. In 6 months, I've dropped it down to 190 pounds. I'm sociable outside the house but need to find new friends and not be in my wife's armpits 24/7. I've sort of lost my identity or being walked over by my wife for a long time. I made no effort to make new friends outside my family and life, because I always had my wife as my best friend. But I'm learning and will continue to improve because I want to. I control my state of mind in life. I'm 99% sure there has been no physical contact with my wife and the 23-year-old boy. This is an emotional affair. My marriage is failing. My wife, when we do fight, slams in my face. I have never given a duck about her in the 11 years of marriage, yet I felt we had a blast. I stopped myself from ranting and going on how my wife is bad, and just tried to paint a picture of what's going on. I know that my wife has reached a crisis point in her life, her 4 surgeries, her medication. She complains about anxiety, depression, overwhelmed with emotions, mood swings, her blaming herself for the death of the best friend. Part of my wife must be thinking if she didn't push for the last surgery then her best friend would not have, and her best friend must still be here. This is her second marriage. She first got married at 18, and it was good for 3 years max and fell apart. Since 18, she put herself through college, had 2-3 part-time jobs and was a mother. My eldest and my stepdaughter. She met me 2 years later, got married very quickly, too quickly, and popped out 1 kid after the other at a rate of 1 every 2.5 years apart. My wife has said to me that she has been put on the back burner for the whole marriage. She says that I haven't given a F about her. It's always being about the kids. I keyed the term package deal and she has bought it up multiple times. She feels she hasn't been valued at all, and now it's her time. I accept my faults and wish she was able to tell me to my face. I've been this was, but she hasn't. I've been a great father but a crap husband. But does all that has happened to my wife excuse what she is going with this boy? As she crossed the boundaries of marriage. The boy was caught by the police for prostitution. I found out that he has used prostitutes at least 4 times. Yet my wife refused to see this bad side of her best friend. They have never thrown a punch since I was 14. I threw some punches and a kick to the face. My wife knows this and is waiting for me to tell her. There is no physical damage to him. I can accept my wife having contact with a boy. They can text, call each other, whatever, but they crossed a line. They talk to each other 12 minutes night, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and 3 a.m. My wife will wake up and immediately check her Facebook. I have made it clearly to stop contact after 9 p.m. every time I contact the boy, and told him whatever. Sure enough, my wife knows. He couldn't keep a secret from her. The boy has said to my wife that he would die without having contact with her. I went to his home informing the older uncle I'm coming over. I wanted to tell him to his face once and for all. This end now. I asked him to load his FB and started reading what my wife was saying to him. But within a few minutes he pressed something making all the messages vanish. That's when I lost it and threw some punches and a kick. Divorce for her is not the table. Her father and mom know everything. The boy is a nephew. The family will meet up at some time. It's been 1 whole week since I went to the other man and told him to stop. It was interesting how the other man said my wife was the one chasing the friendship more than he was. It was interesting how the other man said my wife was the one who said thank you for saying that. No one has ever said that to me at the beginning of the emotional affair. It was wrong for the other man to say he will die if he can't talk to my wife. It was wrong of my wife to demote me to second position in her life. It was wrong of my wife to say things like they were friends, together in a previous life and will be in the next. My wife was wrong to say she doesn't care what anyone else thinks about. We will remain besties for life and thereafter. Since confronting the other man, my wife believes I have made an ass out of myself and the family. My wife has been labeled as a W and I as some of unstable, paranoid, insecure husband. My wife no longer sleeps with me and wants little to do with me. I'm choosing to be positive about myself and choose how to live my life. With a positive attitude, I will continue to work on what I consider my areas of development, be it social or personal. Let's see how my wife continues. The friendship with the other man and my wife has never been physical. They have not been texting about wanting a good time with each other. She has spent an immense amount of time, energy, and feeling to the other man than me, which was wrong. I see that clearly. When you give your emotional heart, love to someone else, that means you are also taking it away from the spouse. My W doesn't see that. My wife has defriended me on FB. She still says she is married but removed my name. We will play a wait and see to see if the marriage is toast. I don't disagree how he is start, but since I've put a stop to it and both sides of the family are aware, I don't see the emotional affair going to a physical affair. But we will wait and see. I'm East Indian. I can never see it going physical. Never will it go to the divorce. Who knows? Don't mean to be a condescending or think that East Indian people don't have affairs, but it's less likely. Looking back and reflecting, it is a silly statement. My wife went crazy. The OM defriended her, then friended her and then blocked her. I saw on their Facebook they are now friends again from this morning. I beat up the OM, made it clear to stop talking, texting, messaging my wife. I stopped short of asking the OM to defriend my wife on Facebook. What the duck? My wife is some crazy mentally obsessed attached W. Yesterday was an interesting day. My wife's mood changed from crying into withdrawal. My wife and the other man became friends again on FB and I'm sure she sent him a message, so she got a little of a dopamine release. I noticed the change. Last night I messaged the other man and said to friend my wife. No texting, messaging, emailing allowed. He said done. In the morning she came down, asking did you tell him to defriend me? I said yes. She became unglued. She said all sorts of things. I mainly just listened and observed her. She talked about all things that came through her head. Her father not still well. Taken back and saying to her, I never imagined you collapsing like this. If you collapse, what will happen to us? My wife being disrespected, not valued. I messaged the OM back and asked him to friend my wife again and apologized for messing him up. My wife wanted me to say, I will give you permission to be in touch with you, aunt, as long as you remember my guidelines. Absolutely no contact after 9 p.m. I'm not going to get in your face or say anything to your parents. That's a promise. I lose my wife if I do and I'm not willing to take that risk. I told my wife that don't fool yourself. If I don't see us working, we are finished and I will end the marriage. She comes back with, stop analyzing what he is doing on a daily basis and we can actually move forwards. And to my reference of ending the marriage, if that's what you want. I came back with we see what happens. My wife continued to say I guess you still want to be big and bad and still not let us talk. So my theory of unless you're having a good time with me, you're not happy is correct. And there's no point in opening and talking to you. Let me carry my life as a hermit. Talking about me and saying refriend my wife. Am I your territory? There has been awakening in my marriage. My wife wants to be super social all the time and tells me that all I want is to be in the house all the time. We are totally opposites. According to my wife, the marriage has been a very controlling exercise where I have dictating the terms of marriage. I disagree. My wife has lived with this type of lifestyle, and when she met the other man, she found the escape key from the prison-ed marriage. The other man is a release value to a poor marriage. To cope with life and our marriage, she resorts to talking to the other man. It's not physical, it was an emotional affair. And a release value to a horrible marriage. It's not an emotional affair anymore because it's being exposed and families from both sides are aware, and I have stopped the dopamine rush. I've blown things out of proportion. Our marriage needs help more than anything. As a couple, we need to come together and rekindle our love to get this marriage working. The other man has blocked my wife, me and our eldest daughter from Facebook. There is no more contact from him to my wife or me. It's my son's birthday today and my wife came down and started a rampage going on. Do you know how embarrassing it is to be blocked on Facebook? It's a slap in the face and continues on the lines of, are you happy now? Stopping me from talking to someone I can be at ease with and talk openly with. Do you know what a big mess you have made? Do you know what the wider implications are? And texted me, duck you for humiliating me once again. Yet my children are downstairs and eating breakfast. She even went on to say, to hell with you and the other man, or something to that effect. My wife has always said, and she is not in love with the other man, but was ranting about divorcing me this morning. I refused to be dragged into a verbal fight this morning, and my wife was getting even more upset with me that I wasn't saying anything back. I went as far as to say, I'm listening. Some members of the forum like Bandit call for me to divorce my wife. My wife not having any respect for me. The marriage having no foundation upon to rebuild my marriage. But I have to consider my 4 children. The smallest is 5 and my eldest is 15. The other man is not in the picture. My wife is mega upset. Doesn't matter as I start the divorce now or 6 months from now. As of today, there is no contact from the other man. If my wife continues to have the emotional affair with the other man or finds another, does it matter? I have seen my wife for what she is. I have a clearer understanding of my marriage for what it is. I have come to an understanding. There has never been bonding or any words in the emotional affair saying never. I want you. I think of you all the time. I want to bond with you. My husband doesn't understand me or anything like that. They talk about crap. It is correct that too much time was spent with the other man and not with me. And she was happier talking to him than me. To my wife, it's all about saving her image. What must the other man family be thinking? How can I face them? You have humiliated me. My wife portrays me as the crazy person, overreacting, striker and hitting, beating the other man, telling her mom, you can't stop an aunt talking to the nephew, and I being slowly broken down by this type of thinking. And I'm second-guessing myself. Maybe I got this all wrong, have I? The way my wife is acting is exactly the way that Pitt was describing. My wife continued to ask the question, what have I done? Has it made us any closer? She was blame-shifting and gaslighting. I wasn't falling for that and did my best to ignore her. My wife continues to use psychological warfare on me. The next morning, very much cold shoulder and same thing. Halfway through the day, my wife calls me and said that her father had complaints of blue vision and was taken to hospital. My father-in-law is experiencing the fallout of what is happening in my marriage. Something happened after that phone call. My wife starts to make call to me a little. Her hatred went away. That day, she told me she wants a pair of ladies' pants and went on to say it, this and that. So, I bought it for her along with a top and jacket. I presented it to her and she say thank you and gave me a kiss. Oh my God, the top was a wrong size and so we went back to the store and exchanged it for the right size. After the exchange, we went to a shoes store, where I bought my wife some shoes and bag to go with the new outfits. I wasn't complaining. I was thinking money well spent. Maybe this is sort of therapy. It was 8 p.m. at night by the time we came home. I ran upstairs to take a shower. I was feeling tired and thinking of going to sleep. My wife came up and I heard her say, go out for a drink and appetizer. I said I'd be out in 2 minutes. I got out, quickly got dressed and said okay, let's go. While waiting for me, my wife looked up a Bollywood movie that she wanted to watch. We bought the tickets online and got a babysitter and left to watch the movie. It was going to take us 1 hour and 15 minutes to the cinema. We spoke in the car a little. I went to hold her hand and she let me. We bought some stacks, watched the movie. I held her hand in the movie at the romantic songs part. We left, came home, didn't speak much in the car. As soon as we came home, I went straight upstairs, moved any kids that were in my bedroom, closed my door and went to bed. About 10 minutes later, my wife comes in the room, got changed and climbed in my bed and snuggled up with me. It had been 10 days or so, and I took the lead and we had a good time. Nothing crazy, it was 2 in the morning, but we spent the night together. I don't know what happened. The day before my wife and I connected, a friend of both my wife and I started to text me. I felt my wife's hand behind the text. I made it clear, if I have to, I will divorce my wife. I also explained emotional affair without using the emotional affair word. The next morning. So, in the morning my wife finds out the other man, her nephew, Mother has also defriended her. Well, that brought on the fallout of blame shifting, my reputation being tarnished. What must they be thinking and saying? That I am having an affair. Look, what have you done? I listened the most part, but did snap and said, you replaced me. I became second in this relationship. My wife finished by saying her father has to hear and deal with all of this. My wife was crying and the children saw it. The day is young, let's see what happens. Friday, there is NC with the other man. He has defriended my wife. My wife and I had a date, which included holding hands. After 10 days of not sleeping with me, she came to my room and we connected physically. The next morning, Saturday, my wife found out the OM mother, cousin sister, defriended her on FB. She started to blame shifting and gaslighting. I wasn't falling for that and did my best to ignore her. My wife continues to use psychological warfare on me. A second date with my wife. Went to a music concert. A romantic singer. Lots of holding hands, and I made the point of being physically close to her. That night she remained in my room, but we didn't connect physically. Last night was a nightmare. I spoke to my wife and posed the question if she has any remorse about her emotional affair. My wife stood strong and was adamant that she had no emotional affair and she did nothing wrong. She continues to think on the lines that my shrink has led me a bunch of lies and poisoned my ideas of an emotional affair. She became violent and starting to hit me. I have a couple of bruises around my hand and shoulder. I didn't help. She said to me, "Don't put your finger in my face," and I did. Couldn't help myself. I told her to get out of my bedroom. It's not her bedroom room and she wouldn't go. My son and baby daughter could see from the hallway her mom shouting and a little of the hitting she was doing. She tried to lie down and was telling my baby daughter to sleep next to her. I pushed her pillow of the bed and as I did, I accidentally made contact with her nose. She took that as a hit to her face and then turned round and gave me a punch to the face. I turned around and gave her a hit to her arm. Somehow, I pushed her out of my bed and got her to leave my bedroom. At that point I locked her out. I heard my wife scream to my daughter to get to bed and started shouting and swearing to me. My children could hear everything. My wife tried to open the door lock. I could hear her shout, "You have shown your true self," and so on. I called her on her cell phone and asked her wanted. On the third call, she said, "Give me my phone charger." I opened the door, gave her the charger. She went to sleep with my daughter and I went back to my room. It's morning time the next day. Let's see what happens. My wife has a repeated behavior of hitting. She did this to me years ago. What happened yesterday was out of control. I should have left the room for her to cool down. We can both move on from last night, but I know better to leave the house when she starts getting like she did. My wife says, "I've had my own emotional issues since October, and if you continue to banger me again and again, our marriage is not going to work." Other man name is out of the picture. So what is your problem now? What you are doing? Is this bringing us closer together? Confronting my wife, she denied it. She got violent. We argued and my wife became physical and started to fight, hit and throw things at me. It ended with me kicking her out of the bedroom. Yesterday was the second night my wife didn't sleep in our bedroom. My wife shows no remorse and most likely thinking she didn't do anything wrong. As far as she is concerned, her internal thinking must be going on like this: I didn't cross no boundaries in marriage. There is no discussing the Ia, there is no gaslighting or blame shifting. She doesn't want to bring it up anymore. My wife doesn't think she is at fault. Bringing up the topic of Ia gets my wife upset and angry. She will always start going on about, "I'm never happy, always have to find something to feel sad about." Basically saying I'm a broken needle in a record player. I'm reading the book Not Just Friends, and I know for sure my wife will never read it. I know what she is like. I do plan to continue reading other books, like Love Languages, Love Busters once I finish Not Just Friends. My wife feels used and not valued. She feels alone without close family and friends to socialize with. My wife misses the ability to talk and kick back with people. She wants more to life than just being the mother, looking after the kids and being married to her husband. She doesn't want to be tied down with household chores. She stated in the past, there must be more to life. There is something missing in her life. The one thing I have been doing is text talking to my wife. I find I can control my words and it allows us to control our feelings. I don't fly off the handle and nor does my wife. If it does go crazy, we don't directly hear it. When we do text talk, I can summarize my wife's feelings to this: stop playing shrink with me. You either move forwards or you don't. Make up your mind. Then quit going around in circles. I'm trying, then you do this whole sulking thing. Your mood swings are what's interfering. And you still dwelling over past. Ducking moves forward. You're the perfect king, that's all you want to say. I'm so ducking horrible. I will move forwards to repair this marriage. Just didn't want any rug sweeping. It's been a week since my wife and I had the fight. I've been not just friends and it's been eye-opening to say the least. I am giving my marriage all that I can give and will continue for 12 weeks plus. I'm going to be the best husband I can be. My wife has seen a change in me and she is not sure what's happening. I've been kind, happy and trying to show my appreciation to her. It's also a week since I have kicked her out of my bedroom and she hasn't returned. I'm not going to deny my wife didn't have an emotional affair. But what I will say is, It was some wired, strange friendship, emotional affair type of thing. I will also admit, when she texted, messaged with her affair partner, other man, she entered another world and escaped from the concrete reminders of her unbearable emotional pain. My wife thinks she is responsible for the death of the best friend, being married with 4 children, responsibilities, a marriage breaking down. I truly believe my wife is depressed about everything in her life. Her affair offered intellectual stimulation and fun at the time when she was way down in the dumps. She even said this to me. My wife used the emotional affair or talking, texting to her bestie as an antidepressant instead of getting professional help for her situational depression. My wife got an ego booster. She got an enlarged version of herself and enjoyed the feedback that told her she is special and infinitely valued and appreciated. She became idealized by her bestie. She enjoyed the positive mirroring from her bestie's eyes. My wife got all the approval she needed. One of my wife's biggest problems. She never admits to what the problem is. I see the problems. If I recommend anything, she takes it the wrong way. My wife cannot handle constructive criticism, telling her to seek help for depression. I can see her thinking, so no, you think I'm depressed. I'm so messed up. Thank you for telling me. My wife a wonderful person, when seen from the outside. Friends, family see a sociable, smart, funny family-orientated person. She smiles, very accommodating and retains a positive attitude to life. When it comes to our internal family, she is a bee. I have 4 kids with her and this is too much for her. She does nothing but shout and demand things from my kids. I ruin my anniversary day, to make the point to never hit the children. Over the 12 years, I have told her so many times to pitch her voice to the kids, not just shout at them with one tone. My wife is all about shopping and having a good time. My kids are lazy and take her for granted. They don't want to clean up their room because my wife doesn't clean her room. They don't want to brush their teeth because my wife doesn't brush her teeth. I've kept the family together. I've the one who being washing the clothes and putting the clothes away for the past 12 years. I've the person who has been cutting her children nails. Because of my wife's failure, I've been the one who cleaned, stained her underwear and put them away. I've been asking the eldest 2 children to pull together and do more work to keep the family together. My eldest does a lot and feels like a slave. She is 15 and knows what her mom is like. My wife is on a rampage today. The kids' rooms are a big mess. The 10-year-old daughter is lazy and never tidies up. My wife is swearing and being emotional abusive. The kids need a rude awakening. I told my wife that swearing to not the answer. The son of 8 will start talking back a bit. Again, I was as emotionally, mentally attacking my son. It's days like this which I say to myself, enough of this. And the marriage. The only reason my wife is on this rampage is my wife's family are coming from the UK and staying the night. The upstairs is a mess and her name, reputation will be tarnished if they say our messy house. I've kicked my wife out of my master bedroom. My wife wants to give our bedroom up for the night. I'm heading for another fight. Should I give up the room or stick my guns? The extended family will surely find out something is up if I don't give up the master bedroom. And my wife doesn't want that. I do ponder if my wife is the person who I want to be for the rest of my life. Is she having a breakdown or midlife crisis, or is she going through a form of depression? Over the 12 years of marriage, it's never been like this or this bad. The surgeries, the passing of her best friend, her emotional affair with the other man, using it as a replacement for antidepressant instead of getting professional help for her situational depression. My wife doesn't even know why she is acting the way she is. She talks about everything coming to a boiling point and not being able to cope with it all. All the physical pains, all the emotional pains, and all the marital pains all at once and all very overwhelming. On a side note, my wife may brush her teeth 3 times a week or something like that. My wife's thinking sound like this. All the pain and humiliation he put me through, my image has been tarnished. I'm the one doing the heavy lifting and my wife is the one who is injured. She is depressed, withdrawn, and angry. She was talking to me in the car about how her sister husband called my wife's mom crying about his problems and my wife committing to her mother how both her sons-in-law are unstable. Crazy. My mother-in-law chuckled and I'm sure my wife did as well. But it serves the point that my wife feels she is the betrayed person in my marriage. She was right and did no wrong and I was wrong in my thinking. I need to understand that resentment will block love. I have to find a way to forgive and release the resentment. I know it's difficult but it's necessary. Not for her but for me. I am married to my wife and I love her. I just hope she will see the light and gain understanding. I'm trying to be the best husband I can be and be in a better marriage than before. It will get better over time. It takes time to heal. My wife upgraded her phone. I didn't have a big problem with that. She has a habit of wanting a new phone up most every 12 to 16 months. When all you need to do is reset the phone. We were at the Best Buy store and we needed to transfer the contacts over to the new phone. There was a password that had to be entered to get to the phone. I asked my wife what the password was. She told me the password was bestie. My wife had a smile, grin on her face when she told me. This is the description of the other man, her best friend. Bestie. Driving back home and at home, I lost it. After making strides to make our marriage work, she still uses passwords to remember the other man. What my wife doesn't understand is that bestie is a trigger for me. It's about the emotional affair she had. She still refuses to acknowledge it as an emotional affair. We argued. I was furious that she would use that as password. I said things in the heat of the arguments and I asked her to leave my bedroom. My wife is adamant that I am going crazy, but she doesn't understand what the full extent of what she did and how much time it's going to take in healing from the emotional affair. We are having a picnic over the weekend and the Oa parents are going to be there. They are going to be family from my wife's side. My side of the family will be there. My wife's parents and family will be there. Question: just what and how much details should I tell the other man's parents? I wonder what they must be thinking about me attacking their son, just when we are making progress. My wife thinks she did no wrong and I blew things out of proportion. I made her look like some W. If I start chatting up a girl as a best friend, my wife wouldn't care. She may use that as part of an argument. You're doing it. What's wrong with what I did? When we argue, she uses the point of view of she is being sociable, talking to people. What she is saying is I don't communicate to people, and my wife has to talk to people just to live. She is sociable and I'm not sociable. My wife just cannot see my point of view. My wife thinks I'm crazy and being brainwashed by counselors and therapists alike. An update to my marriage. So, it's been a month since I last posted. Since then, I have completely read the books Not Just Friends and His Needs and Her Needs. Wonderful books, and I have learned so much about myself and what it really takes to make a marriage work. I've on my third book for men only, a straightforward guide to the inner lives of women. So far, I have learned that husbands need to continue to love their wives for life and women need to continue respect their husbands for life. My problem is I have seen the light and want so much to improve my marriage. Out of the ashes, the phoenix is reborn, and so can my marriage be. But in a big but is blame. My wife blames me and thinks I am psycho and obsessed, seeing things in the marriage that are not there or not letting go. I remind her that I found out through secrecy about all that went down, and only trying to find answers of what went down. There is basic breakdown in trust for both of us. I would love to go to a marriage counselor and move forwards, but she doesn't believe in MC, and so we are stuck in limbo. I have been making an effort to show affection to her without the needs, hugs and kisses in the morning as we wake up, as I leave for work, when I come from work, at the end of the night. I text her in the day, just to say I love you. I have requested that we spend 15 hours a week on bonding together as a couple. I have asked her to spend sporting activities together. My wife hasn't come through with any offers. So here we are stuck in limbo like the last 12 years. I'm making changes, but I don't see my wife making any changes. When we argue, and I no longer lose my temper, and all she falls back to is saying, I'm just the bad person here, that all you have ever said. My marriage is a roller coaster. I'm sticking to the plan of doing the best and being the best husband I can, but I can force my wife to love me or show the love I'm looking for. I am doing the best to let her go, being okay with losing her. Need to continue doing my own things, be an even better father to all my children, and will try to do more stuff around the home. Wash my car, clean the back garden, do more man stuff. A week later, update. Well, this is a very big shock. In February, my wife was in deep into her emotional affair. As a couple, we were fighting. She started to find weakness in the marriage, blaming me, finding faults in our marriage, saying things like there is something missing in her life, looking back justifying her emotional affair to herself, usual scripts for cheating wives. My wife had 2 tattoos about 2 years ago. First, my name on her chest, and second, my name as a tramp stamp on her back. In February, she convinced herself that she had promised the kids and self-justified herself that if she put a tattoo of her husband's on her body, she now needed to put her other loves on there as well, referring to the children. 3 months later, I found out, now, that she had sneaked her then best friend's other man, the nephew's name on the tattoo as well. I'm in shock and disbelief she did this. My W does not know yet that I found out. The best friend is out of the picture. The other man, nephew, and his family are leaving the country for 3 to 4 months, going back to India. There is no more contact. The emotional affair has ended. My wife is coming out of the fog. I am doing my damnedest best job to rekindle the feeling of love from my wife to me. Should I expose the name and the tattoo to her parents? The parents' father will be in shock as well and will see their daughter for what she did. No one knows the emotional affair more than I. My instincts were spot on. I agree with you that what she has done is wrong, very wrong. It just shows you just how crazy my W was. I fought her so much not to get the tattoo, but she was in a fog mindset. No one in the right mindset would do that. If I have to divorce my wife, I can use it to show just how unstable my wife was. If the roles were reversed, the wife would have divorced the husband. I think, would like to see some women's point of view. I spoke to my wife and let her know I found out about the tattoo. She tried to trickle truth me, saying it was her old best friend's initials. I did not accept her answers and told her if she cannot admit that it's her emotional affair. Other man name. I'm going to tell her father about the tattoo, and then I'm going to the OM family and show them the picture. She eventually bucked and said it is his name. This all happened over the phone, and I'm not 100% sure if she meant it or just said it to me. I wanted her to say it, and she did. I had told her parents that when in India, to take her to temple after temple and cleanse her. They have been doing things on her at each temple. She was told by her dad. I requested it to be done to her. I did lots of the talking and cut her off. I didn't want to hear her excuses. The bottom line is I told her she needs to have redemption for what has happened and what she has done. So, my wife has been taken to our temple in India, the Golden Temple, where I quote, "I'm going to wash my sins in holy water tomorrow for whatever I did knowingly and unknowingly. I love you and our babies more than anything else in this world. I admit it was wrong, shouldn't never done it. Honestly, I regretted it after it was done. I never think about being there and often dismiss that it's even there." I asked her to write a handwritten letter to our gurus and state how horribly ashamed you are for your behavior, how terrible you feel for having risked our marriage, husband, your dad's health. You need to let it go in the holy water when you bath there. As we continue to talk, text, I can only say, do and show. You have to believe and stay positive about us and our marriage. I swear on all 4 of our kids, please don't make the tattoo an issue any bigger than it is. It was totally out of line on my part, I admit it. I am remorse gabster, but you don't want to believe me. I'm trying as hard as you to put us back together for once. Try to let go of what's happened and take me in your hand and heart, and nothing can stop us. Definitely not no ducking tattoo. I made my wife write a letter to our God, and this is what she wrote. Please forgive me for whatever I've done knowingly and unknowingly. For the tattoo. For being emotional attached to Sim. For drifting away from my hubby and zoning out. I was wrong on lots of fronts. Please bless me and assist me in moving forwards and not looking back. Please assist in me putting my marriage and house back together. When I asked her what she was thinking when she was handwriting the letter, she said, I cried thinking, what did I do? Just how did I not realize I zoned out too much? How I lost control of my emotions being such a strong-willed person? How did I disconnect myself from my home, my loved ones? How did I let friendship come before my love? All I know is I want to move forwards now with my love and kids and not look back. I went to the tattoo shop and they don't remove tattoos. The tattoo artist said the names can be modified. Lines here, lines there. I don't accept that as resolution. They did give me a flyer of a local tattoo laser removal shop. I'll look into that. Tomorrow. Update. It's been a good 4 weeks since my wife has come back from her trip, and one of the first things I expected her to do is remove the tattoo of the other man of her back. It has not happened. My wife runs a daycare center from our home and has had a child accuse her of hitting her. The local authorities got involved and are meant to come back and interview the children, and my wife is using this as an excuse for not having the time to remove the other man tattoo of her back. My request to spend time together, bond together, spend some sort of time like playing tennis or going to the gym together hasn't happened. It's killing me inside, and as far as my wife is concerned, nothing ever happened. There is no need to make an attempt to make the marriage better. Bonding is a dribble of 2 times a month if I'm lucky, if left to my wife to decide. I finished my 5th book, following the book's advice. I'm starting the man's action plan to improve myself, and I'm coming to a real realization of divorce. My wife is a mother first to my 4 children and barely my wife. I promised myself not to end the marriage now but wait until the year's end. This will give me time to improve myself, time for me to heal, plan ahead, about improving the body, getting physical fit, and that will draw my wife to be attractive to me once again. And if not, you are in the best shape to move on, and that's what I'm planning. I so much want to tell my wife's parents about the tattoo, but will wait until the end of the year. If I can. My hope for change, my need to fix, actions not words, have not materialized. My wife has talked the talk but not walked the walk. 2 months later, the 5th of August was my 12-year anniversary. My wife and I went away together for a 2-day getaway. Our first in 12 years. The day before the anniversary was the bomb, a wonderful day. The day of the anniversary happened to blow up. My wife took it upon herself to look after 3 daycare children for a sleepover on our anniversary. I wasn't having any of this. She decided to make the decision without consulting me. I was once again excluded from a decision that affected my house, my kids, and my life. I texted the daycare mother that the sleepover will not happen at my home and asked her to find other arrangement. I told her parent that she caused a fight between my wife and myself on our 12 anniversaries. My wife got a response from the parent and asked what I said to the parent. I showed her what I said, and my wife started to have a complaint to me. We started to argue in the car coming back home. I stood my ground and told her what needed to be told. I have been walked over and treated like crap by you. You have no consideration for me as the husband, what impacts me, my kids, and my house. As far as you are concerned, I don't have any input or consideration for decisions. You have cut of my ex and stamp on them on a daily basis. We went back and forth about this, and I told her if you don't remove the tattoo within 2 weeks, I'm ending the marriage. I stood my ground and didn't take any crap from my wife. After all that she said, promised, and done, I hadn't finished with her yet. We were going to pass the exit where her parents live. I pulled in the exit and we had another confrontation. I told her how it's going to be in our relationship. I told I am the captain of this house and you are my first officer. I am the king of this house and you are my queen. This is how it's going to be played out. I am not going to be undermined by you. You either accept this model or we go to your parents and I will explain what you have really done this year. My wife was in tears and distressed. She stressed how all this is going to give her father a heart attack and ex her father. I continued to get closer to the parents' home, not happy with the answers of what I was hearing. My wife stated, whatever you want. I wasn't having that. I didn't want her to say what needed to say to appease me. I said to her, I'm not going to let you walk all over me. I told her I want bonding 3 times a week. I expect you to use pet names to me when we talk to each other. My wife didn't flinch and didn't say no to anything to what I said. I told her I am not going to live like this where you make all the decisions and think I'm a nobody. I will divorce you. She said she has never ever contemplated divorce. I remember thinking, why should you? You think nothing of me and are calling all the shots. Why should you change anything? You got it good. So here we are, the 19th of August is the end of the 2 weeks. From all that is said and done, what do I expect from my wife? We will wait and see. I will continue to exercise and improve myself. My comment. Just wanted to share this our story. It is a little messy and it will take some time to fix this. Like I said before, it is up to your partner to fix the relationship after the affair. You cannot force anyone to stay around. Sub and bell and see you in the next story.